Hello, everyone. This is Bartholomew, the producer for the Apron Bump podcast. I was instructed to do the intro for this episode, as Kyle's throat is raw from the pollen. He insisted that it was because of the pollen, nothing else. Anyway, we got a great show for you today. The first ever live Apron Bump, which streamed live on YouTube, Twitch, X, and TikTok. Make sure you follow at Apron Bump for future streams. Daddy has a fun show today, talking WrestleMania 41, the Raw after, and other miscellaneous scuttlebutt. Strap in, folks. It's the Apron Bump podcast.
And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get it started.
Seeing people. Well, hi, everybody. How the heck are we doing? Welcome. We'll go ahead and get started on the podcast here in a little bit, but just wanted to open up with a little, as you can see on my screen here, a tweet that got a little bit of response today, to say the least. I put out a tweet at Apron Bump on X that said, "For every like this gets, I'll give you a worse WrestleMania main event." And what I was quoting was this tweet here that said, "This is the worst main event ever," or he didn't say ever, but he says, "This is the worst main event match. I'm not gonna lie, it didn't live up to expectations." A lot of people had this sentiment, hence the reason I responded in this manner, because it was getting frustrating seeing people that started watching wrestling 2 years ago and think this is the worst WrestleMania main event ever, because there is a lot. There are a lot that are worse. What's up, Frets? And I anticipated maybe getting 5 likes, 10 likes, maybe even 20 likes. But we got almost, at this point in recording, almost 2 million people have looked at this, and there's 18,000 likes and over 100 comments, and God knows how many quote tweets. A lot of people disagree with me, so I just want to open forum here. We're live on Twitter, where all this response was, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, wherever you're watching, listening. If I scroll to a match and you don't, because all of these matches I'm going to scroll to, I posted, I think are worse than Cody Rhodes versus John Cena from this past weekend. And we're going to get into WrestleMania and all the details and the nitty gritty. We're going to go long form with it. It's going to be a podcast recording. But for just before that, just wanted to just kind of set the tone here. All of these matches, in my estimation, are worse, or were worse than Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. And I went chronologically. Wrestlemania says Bam Bam versus LT is the worst WrestleMania. Dude, I strongly disagree. I thought that was first of all, match of the night by far, which is not saying much. WrestleMania 11 is absolutely the worst WrestleMania, if we're just talking WrestleManias. However, LT and Bam Bam was pretty good. It was also a celebrity match. So, like, I don't know, man. I just don't think you can really grade it in the same way, if that makes sense. Now, if you want to argue it shouldn't have main evented, that's an argument that I'm willing to hear. But Bam Bam and LT, I think it's one of the best celebrity matches of all time, I think. So, matches that are worse. WrestleMania main events that were worse than John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. We got Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy from WrestleMania 2. Didn't see really any pushback on this. I think we can all agree. Starting off easy, right? We got Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Now, a lot of people didn't. I think there's also a lot of people that kind of misunderstand the sentiment here, because just making sure we understand what I'm saying here. Worse than Cody and John Cena. Now, I'm going to talk about it more later. I don't think it was a bad match overall. I think it had a terrible finish. There's a lot of bad things about it, but I think as a match, it was okay. Like, it wasn't a great match, but it wasn't a bad match. So not every match on this list is a bad match. But in my estimation, my opinion, every match here is worse than Cody Cena. Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, and we're also looking in a vacuum, right? I understand what Hogan and Andre did, okay? We've all seen the fucking same video package. Every single whatever the hell. It's one of the biggest moments. Hogan slamming Andre, quote unquote, the first time ever, right? But as a match, we're looking at it as the match itself without hindsight, without what, because here's the thing. We don't know what the ramifications are from John Cena and Cody Rhodes. So we can't compare one match and its ramifications against one match when we don't know its ramifications. For an apples to apples comparison, we're just talking about bell to bell. That's it. Bell to bell, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, WrestleMania 3 is dog shit. Andre is way past his prime. Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan. We can't ignore the 50,000 Roman man. There's a lot of Roman matches on here. Don't you worry, pal. Booking Michael Mark says, in my opinion, Cena versus Miz at 27 will always be the worst main event. It's hard to disagree with that. Now, we got concussions that come into play that may factor into as to why, but that's on this list. Don't you worry. So Hogan and Andre, that was my rationale, is that just as a match itself, we all know what would come of it, right? Hogan and Slaughter, again, not really. I didn't see really anybody disagree with this one. Bad feud, bad choices all around, and not a great match. Not a great match. We got Hogan versus Sid, a match I watched relatively recently, actually, and it's not great. It's actually not like terrible, but it's just a shitty finish. Botched finish, and just overall, I mean, just not as good as Cody and Cena was. That's all it comes down to, really. Hogan and Yoko. I don't know if anybody watched the WrestleMania 9 documentary, which is a great watch, by the way, if you haven't watched it. But we all know the story. Brett and Yoko was the main event. Hogan came in and basically cucked Brett out of his championship. So, yeah. So Hogan, Yoko was like, what, 21 seconds of bullshit. I think we can all agree. I didn't really see anybody disagreeing with this one either. Brett, Yoko from WrestleMania 10. Not a terrible match. Not even a bad match. But not particularly, didn't blow my socks off. Not a lot of drama involved. Like, it had a kind of a fun finish, but otherwise, I mean, this is Yoko's second match of the night, and Brett's actually. So, ultimately, just not as good as Cody and Cena. If anybody disagrees with any of this, please stop me. Now, this one. This is the one that kind of rattled some people. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 12. Worse than Cody Rhodes versus John Cena at WrestleMania 41. I was going to let that sit there for a second. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Iron Man match, WrestleMania 12 was not as good as John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41. Let me just sit there. Let me let that marinate in y'all's mouths for a little bit. See how it tastes. Do I think Cody and Cena was good? I'll get more into detail, but I think it was okay. I'm not going to say it was a good match per se, but I think it was fine. So I watched the Iron Man match somewhat recently, maybe like a year or so ago. And here's some of the context that's very important, right? Like, in support of the Iron Man match, right? It's the first time that WWF ever did this for 60 minutes, a 60-minute Iron Man match, and in the main event of WrestleMania, no less. There's no precedent set. So the fact that these guys went out there and had the match that they had, I think it's a fine match. I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, it's one of the worst matches of all time. It was boring. I mean, a lot of it was boring, but like, it kicked in at the end to a point where it's like, Was it worth the 45 minutes of chin locks? I don't think so. Right? I think there's a lot of people out there that have never seen this match. They have never seen this Iron Man match. But they've been told through documentaries and interviews that it's one of the greatest matches of all time. It's not. It just isn't. It's a good match. It was a good first draft in the Iron Man match concept in WWF. And it had a fun finish. The last like 5-10 minutes were great. But as on average, second per capita, not a terrific match in hindsight. Now, it's warranted, right? Like I said, understandable. It's the first go at it. I'm not knocking these guys. But to me, per second, if we're measuring this on per second enjoyment, John Cena and Cody Rhodes was better than this. Barely, not by a long shot. And if you disagree, I'm not gonna be like, oh, fuck you. You don't know anything. I'm like, I get it. You might like it. Who cares? A lot of people like this match. So that's just my thought on it. That was probably the one most people had a problem with. Sid Undertaker is might be the worst main event of all time in WrestleMania. Watched that very recently. Austin Stone Cold. It was another okay match, marred with injuries. Not a bad match. Let me highlight that. Not a bad match, but not great, and it didn't reach the highest of highs that Cena and Cody did. The WrestleMania 2004 way, it's kind of, this is probably the one that if there was one I could take back from this list, I might take this one back. But it's kind of just like apples and oranges when comparing this to Cena and Cody. But it was just a dumb story. I hated the Mick element of this. I hated Triple H coming out on top. Big Show had a dumb t-shirt. It was like, big nasty bastard. Fuck off. Jericho, Triple H, worst match of the night. Batista, Triple H, again, another one that's like an okay match, but not spectacular. Randy Orton, Triple H did not meet the intensity of the feud. Miz, John Cena. Miz got concussed like right at the beginning. And so that hurt it a lot. But at the best, you got Miz and John Cena in like what, 2010? I forget what year this is, but the ceiling of this match wasn't great, and it ended up, kind of falling apart. Rock and Cena. So let's keep in mind, this is their second match. I loved their first match. Rock and Cena from WrestleMania 28, right? Yeah, 28, right? The first and once in a lifetime match. Love that match. I'd put that towards the top of the list. Their second match, not nearly as good, more predictable. Kind of, diluted the appeal because we saw it the past year. There was a lot of factors that went into it that made it less appealing to me. Roman, Triple H, again, not a lot of people disagreed with that one. Just long for the sake of being long. Roman, Undertaker, just depressing to watch. Brock and Roman, just finish your spamming. The crowd kind of ruined this one, to be fair, but ultimately it was just not it was not a good finished product. The WrestleMania 31 match is great. Their 34, I think. Their 34 match was not. The women's triple threat, just very clunky. Very clunky. I do need to watch this one back, though, to be fair, because I've only seen this once live, when it happened live. And this was a brutally long show. So maybe if I watch this like with fresh eyes, maybe I might like it better. But just from my memory, it was very clunky. Drew, Brock, it was fine for what it was, but it's 4 minutes of just finishers back and forth. And that just, I don't know, man. Just not, I can't call that a good match. It was a fun segment, I guess. But I don't know. And then Brock, Roman, just the weakest of all of their matches. Very abrupt, anticlimactic finish. And I think at this point we were kind of tired of watching these guys wrestle anyways. So what do we think, gang? What do we think? A little behind in the chat. Let's see if anybody LCN3 says okay is perfect. It wasn't necessarily bad, but it wasn't great either. I respect and agree with you. I assume we're talking about the Cena Cody match. I appreciate that. Why The Rock always starts stuff and never finish. We're going to talk about that. What's good, Legend? Yo, what's up, Pluggo? How you doing, man? Mike Tyson was the worst main event and lacked creativity. Talking about the 14, I guess, right? Or 15? No, 14. Bam Bam LT. No, I talked about that earlier. I kind of like that match. It's fun for what it is. Terrible WrestleMania, but main event was fine. Cody and Cena, middle of the pack as far as main events go. I agree. You know what? You want to talk about WrestleMania? Let's talk about WrestleMania, shall we? So this is if you're unaware, we got a lot of people watching on TikTok right now. A lot of you people might not be aware, like you people. A lot of people out there might not be aware that I do a podcast mainly covering old school wrestling, covering, the 90s, Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression, but also the golden eras of TNA, Ring of Honor, other lesser known companies. Mostly what I do is chronological timelines, reliving those eras of wrestling. And it's a lot of fun, but occasionally I like to pop up on here and talk the current stuff. And after WrestleMania, now we're after the Raw after WrestleMania, and we got that Rock interview from Pat McAfee that we need to talk about. It's a lot to get into. Glad to have everybody here. Let's get into it, man. Where do we even start? Give me. So I have a little text down here. Give me your hottest takes on WrestleMania or the Raw after WrestleMania, or just anything going on in WWE right now. Get the ball rolling there. But ultimately, it's kind of just overall thoughts on Mania. Let me pop out this chat here real quick. I thought it was an okay WrestleMania. It was okay. Out of the 41 WrestleManias, I don't know. I'd probably maybe number 22 or something. It wasn't a bad show. There was some not so great stuff that occurred, but there was some also really good stuff. I think ultimately the lackluster build it didn't help matters because there was a lot of matches that were just matches for the sake of matches. It felt like, and didn't have a lot of heat to it. Like LA Knight, Jacob Fatu was a great match, but it had no heat. Logan Paul, AJ, two talented guys in their own different ways, but nobody gave a fuck. It's like, why would you? You know what I'm saying? So, but there was, the main events were each significant in their own ways. We'll talk more about other stuff here, but Travis Scott made the main event worse. Yeah. I mean, we got to start with the main event, don't we? We got to start with the main event. John Cena, Cody Rhodes. We were just talking about it. We might as well get into the nitty gritty of it. I'm not going to talk about, move for move, beat for beat, what these matches were, because we all just watched it. John Cena wins number 17, beats Cody Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania. So I said before this that I thought the match was okay, and I thought it was for a 2025 John Cena match, it was about as good as it could have been. Let's be real, guys. Cena, this dude hasn't had a good match since like maybe the AJ series, I would say. Am I crazy in saying that? He has this formula now where it's, whether it's the Roman match from SummerSlam 21, the Austin Theory match, the whatever matches he's had, sparingly, since he's been sparingly showing up. It's been fine. He does the AA, they kick out. He does the AA from the second rope, they kick out, and we all got to pretend to be. When John Cena hit the AA from the second rope onto Cody, no part of me even flinched. Like, that should be a good near fall. Like, that's a move that has finished matches before. That used to be a super finisher. But now, if this match kind of felt very just, it kind of fell into the modern day formula of you hit your finisher, kick out. I hit my finisher, kick out. I do mine from the second rope. I do mine twice in a row, kick. Like, again, like the crowd was somewhat into it. It had a decent energy to it, and seeing John Cena as a heel for the first time in terms of like bell to bell was interesting. I will say that. But then fucking Travis Scott comes out, dude. They're not finishers anymore. They're just signature moves. I don't even know if they're signature moves really at this point, man. It's just basic, left X. You know what I'm saying? You have to stun the guy to hit him. Then Travis Scott comes, and this all kind of bleeds into the Rock interview from earlier today. I don't know if anybody got a chance to watch or listen to that as of recording this. It happened like 5 hours ago. I guess to kind of just, cliff notes, paraphrase what Rock was saying, because, obviously the sentiment online is that Rock should have been in the main event, which I completely agree with. This all started with The Rock, the John Cena heel turn. Like, The Rock was the catalyst for John turning. And he hasn't been brought up in any promos. He hasn't shown up. He hasn't shown up via satellite. He hasn't, he hasn't sent any touts. Like, he's been radio silent. And we've all been wondering why. And I've been okay with it up until WrestleMania, because my thought was that, okay, the main event's going to happen. There's going to be a schmoz. The Rock's going to come out. And it's at that point we'll kind of start tying things together, right? We'll start to explain things through what's happening in the match. And then, roll after WrestleMania, maybe Rock's there, and then he cuts a promo to further amplify what the deal is between him and Cena and Travis Scott. I don't know. But there was no Rock. There was no Rock. But there was Travis Scott, which is a problem to me because of the reasoning that Rock gave on Pat McAfee's show. Essentially, what Dwayne said was that he didn't want to take the spotlight away from John Cena. He wanted the story to be rooted in John Cena. He thinks there's a dysfunctional relationship with the crowd. He's going to ruin the WWE. Rock didn't want to muddy the waters, so he took a step back after being a focal point of the initial turn itself. The picture was Cena, Rock, Travis Scott. That was the thing. Now, I can kind of understand, right? I get, yeah, exactly, Scott George. He said that his work was done and he didn't want to get involved in the match. Which, okay, if Rock wants to take a step back, if he wants to let Cena kind of absorb all of the heat, there's part of me that's like, okay, that makes sense. But here's the thing, folks. Why the fuck is Travis Scott here to take the spotlight from John Cena? Am I going crazy? Why does Travis Scott get a fucking 5-minute entrance in the main event of WrestleMania? This 114-pound twink with the fake hardcore title on his shoulder. He's the reason. He's what causes the finish in the main event of WrestleMania. Go fuck yourself. Are we kidding with this shit? Travis, look, I understand, right? He's a very popular music artist. Huge. I get it. WWE, they want to branch out. They want to, sink their hooks into celebrities, bring them all in, intertwine them. They've had the Bad Bunnies and the Logan Pauls. I get it, right? We talked about LT earlier. Travis Scott is no Bad Bunny. Exactly, Brendan. Exactly, Brundo. Which is my point. Bad Bunny had his slot, right? He wasn't in the main event, but he had like a way in. He had an organic way in. He had he's a Puerto Rican icon, so he fit right into the Damian Priest feud. And then they had a great match in Puerto Rico, by the way. So it all just made sense. Logan Paul is built for wrestling. As much as people don't want to admit it, he is. He's an athlete. He can talk. He's hateable. Built for it. What does Travis Scott offer me? I'll wait. And that's not even really a rhetorical question. Does somebody in the chat have an answer? Maybe there's something I'm missing. Travis Scott. Again, a guy that hasn't been involved in anything since Elimination Chamber. It's not like we still don't know what the relationship is with John Cena and Scott. So why is it just didn't add anything? It took away from it. Why does his music have to hit? Well, if he just like hopped the barricade or something, that'd be one thing. But if you have like a Venn diagram, right, of wrestling fans and Travis Scott fans, the middle portion, there might be some overlap, right? People that like wrestling, people that like Travis Scott. But when you look in that middle portion, how many of those people care about Travis Scott in wrestling? How many people tuned in to Raw last night to see Travis Scott? Fucking nobody. We've been given no reason to care. We've been given no reason to, oh, what is Travis Scott? What is his involvement? Nobody cares. I think he's just bringing younger generations to watching WWE. I get the intent. It's the execution, though, that leaves a lot to be desired. He offers riots at his concerts. Yeah. Maybe that's a part of John Cena's shtick. Maybe he's going to cause some trampling in his next match. But if that happens, I'll eat my words. But Scott George says he says that Travis Scott's been training to be a wrestler at Booker T's school, and Cody owed him a receipt. I don't know. Is one Crossroads like a satisfying receipt? Should have punched him right in the face. I don't know, dude. But like I said, overall, Cena, Cody, I thought was okay. Somebody in the chat said earlier that it was a good match. It was a PLE worthy match, but not a WrestleMania worthy match. And that's pretty much where I stand with it. That's where I'm at. That's what The Rock said today. Yeah, and by the way, Rock, because he explained why he wasn't at WrestleMania, because he didn't want to cast a shadow on it. He wanted to take a step back. Ultimately, I think, because Rock also said initially he wanted Cody to turn heel. And I guess Triple H kind of was more adamant on Cena turning heel. And Dwayne in his interview today, he was like, oh yeah, sure, that's a good idea. But I bet you there was some pushback. And in Rock's interview today, he was like, first of all, he just said, yeah, Cody, a heel turn's coming. Don't you worry. What's like, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we telegraphing major character shifts like that? Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. But The Rock, he said that he was brought into Elimination Chamber because ticket sales were light, which is hilarious. So basically, all in all, when you factor that in, the reason why Rock was at Chamber in the first place, the fact that Rock is more interested in him and Cody story, and the fact that Rock wasn't at WrestleMania, ultimately, Rock and Cena have no connection. Like when Cena turned heel, the sentiment was like, oh, Rock and Cena aligned with each other, and then Travis Scott is just in the background. But in reality, It was John Cena and Travis Scott aligning with each other, and Rock was just in the background. Rock didn't have anything to do with this, I guess. He just happened to be there. Just aura farming. Is that how you use that term? It's the only reason that's the only involvement Rock had. I bet you we don't see Rock and Cena on screen together ever again. It's frustrating, dude. It's frustrating. The Cena heel turn isn't hidden for me, man. I mean, hold on. Let me take a step back from that. I enjoyed his promo on Raw last night. I enjoy the presentation of like the bare bones Titantron with the Arial black text. The no lights, no lasers, just John Cena. I think that's fantastic. And he comes out and there's like a ticker now of how many dates he has left. What are we at? Like 27 more dates or something? Which gives, because he's the champion now, so it gives the, because he says once he's done, and he's taken the title, he's going home, and they have to start a new lineage. Which this part of the story I kind of enjoy, right? Because now there's incentive for somebody to take that title away from John before John basically dismantles it, essentially. Oh, my cat's fucking bugging. So it's like a countdown timer. It's like a bomb about to blow in 26 days. And somebody's got to stop it. Somebody's got to disarm the bomb. It's kind of silly, but I kind of like it. But it supplies good tension to his title reign. But the problem is now there's like this air of like, well, he's not going to lose it at Backlash. Like he's not going to lose the title when he has 20 plus more dates left. So it kind of adds a little level of predictability in his reign, at least for the next few months. So there's that, but I don't know. My thought, with Cena's first promo is that he came off very generic. It came off very like if you're in the performance center, learning to cut promos, and it's like a prompt, like a basic prompt you get to be a heel, like heel 101 type shit. But John Cena feels like he's doing. You people. His character is very, you people don't never love to be like, this is shit that we should be seeing on Evolve or LFG, not from the top guy of all time in the main event of WrestleMania. Brendo says this is ROH Summer of Punk. No, I'm aware because CM Punk did this in Ring of Honor when he won the Ring of Honor World Title, and he just signed to WWE. And he said he was going to take that ROH title to WWE, and then they have to basically start a new title, I guess. What's up, Evert? So yeah, I mean, it's a story that's been done. It's not a bad story. I just think his delivery has been, like I said, very just kind of just paint by numbers, unfortunately. And like I said, up until WrestleMania, I've been like, all right, it's fine. Cena, he's still kind of trying to figure this heel thing out. But when the Rock element comes in, that's when all the pieces come together, right? That's when all of the flavors come out, and we see this evolution, and it's going to be great. Maybe even I even had a thought of like, maybe Cena doesn't want to be a heel. Maybe Cena is like, maybe he's even been like held hostage of sorts by The Rock. Like Cena was desperate for number 17. He would do anything to get it. So he used The Rock's kind of allure, kind of The Rock's resources to win that title. But he didn't want to be aligned with The Rock. So it was kind of like he had to do what he had to do, but then he was going to eventually regret it. But now it's just like with no Rock involvement, it's just John Cena's just being a dick. And I don't know. It's a very shallow story, I think. I don't know. That's just my thought on it. But we'll let it play. I'm a big let it play out guy. We got Cena and Orton coming up at Backlash, as we all kind of predicted with it being in St. Louis, which I never thought I'd be excited for a Cena and Orton match, but with the flipped dynamic of their, the rest of their history, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think Randy's a lot of fun to watch at this point. Cena, he'll hopefully continue to evolve in this heel character. I guess maybe we shouldn't expect him to be a great heel right out the gate. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being optimistic, but I don't know. What do we all think? I hate that Cena is going out the way he is. I think he'll still turn back babyface at some point. But at this point, like, who the fuck knows? Yeah, I'm quite disappointed in The Rock. Yeah, same here. I got his fucking, you see his face up there, the Terramana bottles. My cats are named Dwayne and Rock. All right. At this rate, I'm going to have to change their names to like Shinsuke and Nakamura or something. You know what I'm saying? I think Cena retires as babyface. I agree. I just don't get how he redeems himself to the fans after what he said. Yeah, I think you can always put it in reverse, especially because the crowd's like not booing him as hard as they were at first. So I don't think it'll be a crazy switch. I think, in my head, the story was going to play out that Cena turns heel, and then eventually he would like learn the error of his ways. He'll realize that he always preached never give up, but then he gave up on the fans, but the fans never gave up on him. That's how I see this happening. And I think his last match he'll go out in on a high note. I don't know who he would face. At this point, I doubt The Rock's going to ever wrestle again. Because that would make sense. I got next against Cena. Says Big Q. All right. Might as well. Get that title off of him before he takes it away, man. Whoa, I was scrolling and was like, whoa, Mike Shinoda is live. Who is that? Am I going to be sad when I Google this guy? Mike Shinoda. Who the hell is that? Because I've been called a lot of things online. I've been called everything between Drew McIntyre and Tony Schiavone. So, oh, this guy. What is he? He's a rapper. Okay. Or wait, no. He's in, is he in Linkin Park? I don't know. He's definitely familiar. I'll take it. Change it to Hack. Yeah, one cat is going to be Hack and one's going to be Myers. Not a bad call. It's Linkin Park. Very basic information. Why don't you? All right, buddy. Okay, we don't need the passive aggressiveness. All right, doggy. I don't know people in bands. Thoughts on WWE buying AAA? Listen, I can't tell you that I've ever watched did I say double A? Triple A. I don't even know what I said. AAA, right? Arn Anderson's their champion, right? No, I've never watched a AAA show. I've seen some clips online. My thought here is that I would never watch a AAA show, but my curiosity in a WWE-owned AAA makes it possible for me to watch. So in that way, I think they benefit. I don't know if the idea is going to be to have a NXT Mexico like they did NXT UK, and what they got, they're partnering with Noah too, right? So are they going to have like an NXT Japan and an NXT Mexico, and then weren't they going to do like an NXT Europe or something? Wasn't that the thing a while ago? I don't know if that's still a thing. WWE will ruin AAA in-ring. AAA is far superior to. I mean, sure, I'll take your word for it. I mean, it's a very different style. I mean, it's hard to compare Lucha Libre to Roman Reigns versus CM Punk type matches. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I mean, I'll try to keep an open mind. Isn't dumb Alberto Del Rio their champion? I don't know how that's gonna go. Nacho Libre, like if Vikingo is a part of it. Crazy to see him at WrestleMania. It was already crazy enough to see Penta and Phoenix both in significant matches at WrestleMania. Not even like in a just not even like just a tag team scrambly type of match. Phoenix was in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. He's a last-minute fill-in, but record book states that he was in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania, which is not a thing that a lot of people get to say. And then Penta was a crazy reaction in that 4-way, which is one of the best matches of the weekend for WrestleMania, in my estimation. The Intercontinental title 4-way. Penta, Finn Balor, Dom Mysterio, Braun Breaker. Dom gets the win. Man, that kid is over, is he not? Dom Mysterio. It's crazy. Though the best baby faces tend to be able to switch from, like, they started out as significant heels. Like, they were getting big reactions as a heel, and then they're able to kind of like transform that same magnitude of reaction into the opposite direction, which it seems like that's what Dom's doing. I also think people are just kind of respecting him and how he's continuing to grow as a performer. And I think, like, I see these interviews from Dom just like in like post shows or like just random like online interviews. He's like, Dom Mysterio is a funny fucking dude. Like, he's super charismatic, super likable. We've all watched him grow up since 2005, SummerSlam. I'm excited to see Dom's journey for the next year or two and beyond, obviously. But I'm excited to see this new chapter of his career. And his IC title reign. Should be interesting. Had a pretty good match with Penta on Raw. Dirty Dom. That's right, man. Dirty Dom just joined, by the way. Is he watching? I hope so. If it is you, Dom, much love. Love your work, man. Love your mustache. Jealous of it, to be honest. Do we need to wrestle with the shirt around your waist, though? Is my question. Do we need that? Absolutely. Only path I see for Cody getting the belt back is winning Money in the Bank and cashing it in. Cody's not winning Money in the... I hope he doesn't win Money in the Bank. Actually, maybe they could make that make sense if it's like, if it's a thing where like Cena won't give him a rematch or something. But I don't know. I think you could. They kind of fumbled the Money in the Bank last year. I don't know if we want to do a kind of clunky thing like that again. I feel like people don't comprehend what Cena is doing, especially the IWC. I don't know, care to elaborate, D-Real? I saw an interview, I think it was Scott D'Amore. He said that Cena, because Cena's whole thing is that he's not going to give the fans what they want. So Cena went out there and had an intentionally shitty match. Because storyline? I don't know if that's what you're saying, D-Real, but that's just a shitty way to go about this, man. To have a bad match on purpose, which is not what happened, by the way, but it's just the thought of that. There's people that went to WrestleMania, paid tens of thousands of dollars to be there, and you're going to have a bad match in the main event? I talked a lot about the match earlier. I thought it was an okay match, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Do we get Team Heyman versus Team Roman at War Games? Probably. I think we should did we talk about that? Let's get into that. Great, tremendous, arguably match of WrestleMania. The triple threat main event on night one. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. I think a lot of people were predicting that Seth would align with Paul Heyman, because it was so like Paul Heyman was like the focal point of the entire feud. It's like, well, he's definitely going to factor into the finish, and it's not like he's just going to go with the guys that he's going between. Like, you have three guys in there, and he's been going back and forth between Punk and Roman. Well, Seth's there, so that's like the easy like swerve, I guess, quote unquote. But the execution of it, Paul giving the low blows, it was very telegraphed. It was like, yeah, it's Paul Heyman's he's not an in-ring athlete. But ultimately, we got from A to B, and I think it was a cool moment. Low blows to Punk and Roman, respectively, aligning with Seth Rollins, giving him the win. So Seth pins Roman in the main event of WrestleMania. And then we continue that into Raw, which I think is the more significant. Well, maybe not more significant, but it's what I'm more interested in personally. Because Seth and Paul, it's like, okay, that's fine. Giving Seth something to sink his teeth into, I feel like he's kind of been in idle for a while. So this gives him kind of a new texture to his character. But man, Raw ends with Seth, Paul Heyman, and Braun Breaker. Doggy. Ecstatic for this, man. Ecstatic to see Braun Breaker get a promotion of sorts. Main event. Top guy, top storyline. Spearing Roman Reigns, spearing CM Punk to close Raw on Netflix. Aligning with Seth and Paul Heyman. The dog has made it. Arf, arf. 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 I wasn't super into Braun in NXT, but I think his presentation and what he's done on the main roster, dude feels like he doesn't feel like, what am I trying to say? He doesn't blend into the rest of the roster. He's a cut above. He's extraordinary, and he should be. I feel like I haven't really felt like he's been booked strong enough up to this point, honestly. Match-wise, wins and losses, I feel like I've said this before. I think he's been booked to be Goldberg in 2003, whereas I feel like he should be booked to be Goldberg in 1998. That's my thought, but I like where we are at now. Braun is like the Batista in this new evolution type faction. I don't know if they're going to add more people. Do we think they're going to add more people? Anybody in the chat have any guesses as to maybe are they just going to keep it these guys, these three? Or are they going to add like a tag team? Are they going to add a woman? Are they going to add just another younger guy like a Carmelo Hayes? As soon as I said that, yeah, Daniel James. I'd love to see Carmelo Hayes. That'd be very interesting. Ethan Page, Austin Theory, Morgan. The thought of Ethan Page in this, I for some reason that really tickles me, like in a good way. That tickles me on the inside, if you know what I mean. Kevin Owens when he returns. The problem with that is I don't know when a serious neck injury. It'll be at least a year probably until he comes back. So otherwise, I think he would fit in. I don't even know if he would fit in. It'd be interesting. I'll put it that way. Yeah, Ethan Page. I did that Ethan Page Ricky Saints match at NXT Takeover was great. I'd love to see Ethan Page. I think that'd be the shot in the arm that he needs from like a character perspective, because he's a good talker and he can deliver in the ring, but I think he just needs like that extra spice, and I think this would be a good thing for that. Finn Balor, I don't know, man. I wouldn't hate it, but I feel like Finn is just destined to be. He would be the fall guy in the faction if that were the case. Trick Williams. I don't know if Trick would be a top choice for me, but Finn needs a singles run. I think he's just a background guy, unfortunately, at this point, man. But yeah, as a result of that triple threat match, we got this new faction, which I'm invested in it. It's compelling to me to see a new version of Paul Heyman, new version of Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker getting the spotlight. And then whoever else. Ilya Dragunov, that'd be interesting. But this prompts so much, curiosity. I'm seeing a bunch of names in the chat. Bring back Sarge and what? Bring back Sarge and he can beat Goldberg 2001. Sure. Bring up Briggs and his partner. Ooh, what's his name? The Japanese fella. Fuck. Inamura? Is that his last name? That guy fucks. Briggs and Inamura? I don't hate that idea. I vote Eugene. Sure. 2025, I think we'd be more accepting of him. Did anyone see the fan jump the barricade last night when Gunther choked out Pat? So I believe that was Pat's entourage, like his podcast co-hosts, which I thought was a nice touch. Which I think that's actually a good segue into Gunther and Jey Uso, ladies and gentlemen, for the World Heavyweight title, opening up night 1. What do we think about Jey Uso tapping out Gunther, becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion? As I take a sip. Yeet. Am I right or am I wrong, fellas? It didn't feel believable. Gunther has a history of tapping early. Valid comments from the chat here. It was poetic that he made him tap. Finally, he deserved it after what Gunther did to Jimmy just a few weeks ago. I hear you guys. So here's my thing, right? I like Jey Uso, right? I've always loved the Usos from their debut, even in the Tamina days, before the face paint, and then when they did the face paint and the dance into the heel turn on the early SmackDown 2016 days, into the bloodline, into where we're at now. Big fan of Jey Uso. Big fan of Big Jim. Love them as a tag team. I like them as singles. Maybe that's a better way to say it. The story of Jey, because here's the thing. People are comparing it to the Ilya Dragunov Gunther story, which there are parallels. Ilya had a few cracks at Gunther and he lost each time. Came close, but ultimately lost. And then finally, he was able to beat Gunther with a sleeper hold. But here's the thing. We're not going to sit here and compare Ilya Dragunov versus Gunther or Walter. We're not going to compare those matches against Gunther and Jey. Just completely different genres of brutality. Not even in the same, not on the same page, not in the same book, not even in the same fucking library. Just completely different levels of brutality. Not only that, because that's kind of subjective, it can be. The Ilya matches, like Ilya's targeting the neck, he's targeting the head. He's chipping away at him, brutalizing him, blood, bruising of the chests. It's a war. It is a drawn out war. And when Ilya locked in that sleeper hold, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a culmination of offense. The sleeper hold just happened to be the thing that put him in. The Jey match, WrestleMania, nothing happened before that sleeper hold. A couple shitty spears and some splashes. It's the same idea on paper, but the execution was just not convincing. I think the match in general was pretty boring. I thought their Saturday night's main event match was much better. I think Jay as a singles, I want him. He's one of these guys. He's like Karrion Kross to me. Him and Jey Uso are on the same kind of level for me, where I enjoy their characters. I enjoy their out of the ring, their promos, their charisma, their presentation. I enjoy it. But then that goddamn bell has to ring at some point, man. And Jay just, he doesn't do anything. Like, he's so slow. Everything he does. The spear, he just jogs to the ropes, and he doesn't even leave his feet for the spear, dude. What are we doing? The splash. And I'm not one of these guys where it's like, you don't have to do a lot of different moves to be a good wrestler. Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, they just punched and kicked each other for fucking 30 minutes, and then a guy hit their finisher and it was over. And they were phenomenal matches. You don't need to have a lot of different moves you do, but you have to at least have intensity behind them. Jay does not have that. I don't know if he just blows himself up in his entrance or what, or if he's just running on vibes. He's just trying to let the vibes float him through the match. But I don't know, man. I'm not excited to see Jey Uso matches. I'm happy for the guy, right? It's a cool story. I don't hate that he's world champion. You had to do it at some point. I don't anticipate him having a long reign with it. I could see him losing it at Backlash, if I could be honest. He's just not a compelling wrestler to me. Even his shtick out of the ring. Like, I was watching Raw. I watched it earlier today. So it was, I was able to fast forward, rewind through whatever the fuck, right? Jay's segment hit. They had the video package before. That was cool. He came out. He had that first entrance as world champion. It's like, oh, okay, this is cool. But then we're doing the yeet, and he's like, we're doing it for like 3-4 minutes, and I'm like, oh fuck, dude. And I hit plus 15, plus 15, plus 15. Finally gets in the ring, he's about to cut the promo, and then he's like, oh, one more again. He does the thing that we have to do every time now for some reason. And then I fast forward, plus 15, plus 15, plus 15, and then he finally starts talking. And then Sammy comes out. Jose mentions, he says, do you think Sammy's going to turn heel? I could see it. I could definitely see it at some point for sure. Maybe. I think maybe they might just have a babyface match at Backlash, personally. But who knows? I think it's possible. It could be a good change of pace for Sammy for sure. But whatever, they have a cool moment. Sammy comes out. He has a very compelling reaction to Jay's title win. He's excited for him. Like, if the passion was there, you could tell it was real too, right? Jimmy comes out. He's like, oh, by the way, I'm here. I'm your twin. Remember me? That's funny that he was like secondary. They all hug and they do the fucking yeet, and then that's it. But let me tell you this. I fast forwarded because, by the way, I knew watching this, I knew that nobody turned. But I had no interest in seeing the yeets. Like, again, there's only so much of it. It's like, it's fast forward. Enough. We got it. We need something else. If you have steak every day, you start to not like steak. So it's not even steak. He's like a flank steak, maybe at best. Jey Uso. He's 93.7 ground beef. Jey Uso. Braun is going to win it next. You think? It's either going to be Braun or Seth. Probably going to be Seth, since Seth is pretty much the leader of that faction. I could see Seth. They might extend it to like SummerSlam, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe it's Seth and Jay at Backlash. I could also see that very easily. Seth is the play. I agree. HJ, Kyle, no yeet. Goddamn right, Brundo. Braun wins heavyweight, and eventually Seth wins WWE champ. I don't think they're both going to be the world champions. I think Seth wins the world title, and we potentially get. I think they basically replicate the Batista Triple H story. I think maybe Braun and Seth is WrestleMania 42 for the world title. Thoughts, or is that too soon? I don't think it's too soon. Braun's a very volatile guy. I don't think he's going to be the heavy for a faction for a long time. He's going to want that glory at some point. Who else is going to be in the faction? Braun, Seth, and who? We talked about this a little bit earlier. I think Ethan Page was a good choice. Austin Theory, perhaps. There was some other good suggestions. Becky would be a fun kind of addition. That would make sense. I wouldn't hate that. Carmelo Hayes was another suggestion. Lexus, all right, but take your Lexus King and take it somewhere else. But yeah, so Jey Uso, he's world champion. Whatever, man. I don't enjoy his work particularly, but let's let it ride. Let's let the vibes take us where they take us, and hopefully he just doesn't have too long of a reign. I don't think we need to overextend that. I understand them putting the title on him because you had to capitalize on it to some extent, but we don't need to overstay our welcome. Rhea entering that faction. Aleister Black. I don't think Aleister Black would be. I think he's got his own stuff going. What do you think the future of Gunther is, considering the last segment where he crashes? Thank you for bringing that up. I meant to touch on that in relation to this Jey Uso stuff. Absolutely loved the Gunther segment on Raw. Bullies Michael Cole, chokes the fuck out of Pat McAfee. There's fuck you Gunther chants. Finally, Gunther has heat. Come on. This is the piece that I think Gunther's been missing. He can wrestle his ass off, but he just hasn't done anything that, I know he bloodied up Jimmy, which maybe was the first step in this, generating this heat, but Gunther, he's at least going to take a break from the world title scene, I would imagine, right? But I think he can take this time period, this era of him, to kind of just build that heat. Does he have a match with Pat McAfee? Does he? I saw somebody on X suggest this, and I don't know how I feel about it, but I could definitely see it happening. What do we think? So you could have Pat McAfee versus Gunther, but I don't think that's a believable matchup. What if Pat McAfee gets him somebody to wrestle on his behalf? Or better yet, because Michael Cole seemed to be the guy filled with piss and vinegar. What if Michael Cole gets somebody to wrestle on his behalf? I'll give you all any guesses as to who this hired gun could be. I guess not, because it's not like a confirmed thing, but the suggestion that I saw was Goldberg. Thoughts? Goldberg versus Gunther. Nah. Yeah, look, I only support it if Gunther just shits on him and pins him, but I can't see that happening. I don't see a world where that happens. Omos, I could see Omos being, that would be fun. Gunther Omos, especially with Omos. Is Omos or Omos? I never know what it is, but seeing his growth from his matches in Noah against Gunther, that'd be a fun dynamic, I think. Rusev? Yeah, sure, why not? Rusev Gunther? I like that. I mean, hold on. Yeah, you like that? I'm a little dizzy. Jack Swagger again, dude. Jack, Swagger, Gunther, book it. Book it. Great suggestion, Brundo. You have a lot of great ideas from Brendan Haney. Tozawa, they had a really good match on Raw, Tozawa and Gunther. If they had some time, they could have a really fun match. I know that's kind of a joke, but they could deliver. Karrion Kross, I don't know. Goldberg said he would like to go up against Gunther. They had the interaction at what was it, Bad Blood, I think, right? So they've kind of planted seeds for it. I don't know. No. Top dollar? Okay, pal. Easy. Penta versus Gunther? I don't know. Be a fun match. I think Gunther's. I was watching an interview of Gunther. I think it was on Chris Van Fleet. He said that the hardest he's ever been chopped was from Penta. It like sliced his chest open. So maybe it owes him a receipt of some sort. It should have been John versus Gunther and somebody completely different against Cody. I'm inclined to kind of agree. No, I mean, I guess to go back to the Cena thing real quick. In my world, John's story would have been like trying to get number 17, unable to do it, and then he finally does it at the very end. It seems like we're kind of doing the reverse, but I don't know. I'm kind of bummed because it feels like we're not going to see a lot of Cena matches with newer guys. We're going to see Cena Orton. We're probably going to have like Cena Punk at some point. We're probably going to have maybe Cena Roman again. I feel like we're not getting these fresh matchups, which is unfortunate. One of the best Raws after WrestleMania. Yeah, very good show, dude. Very good show. We just talked about that Gunther segment where he walked out with nuclear heat. We have a reason to hate him. Commentary hates him. So we're going to have that in our ears throughout the entire episodes. Gunther versus Oba, Moonstem. Hell yeah, pal. Hell yeah. One day we're going to get that. Pete Dunne, Gunther? Sure. Io and Steph stole the show. Booker should have been there. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the tip of the iceberg as far as what they're capable of, too. I mean, the women, you had Io and Steph show out, and then you have Julia, Roxanne, Rhea's out there. The women's title picture is exciting, man. I don't know how many of these were like official call-ups or if they were just kind of one-off appearances, similar to like what Roxanne has been doing in the past year or so, having just like random appearances. But but talking about stars, we talked about how Gunther came out of Raw feeling like he had some heat. I'll tell you who finally feels like a fucking star. It's Io Sky. Dude, look, and when I say that, people are gonna be like, "Oh, she's already been a star." Like, she's been a great wrestler. She's been champion before. I get it, but when it was her, Bianca, and Rhea, she felt like the third wheel, which is the story they were telling, but it was kind of rooted in reality a little bit. Now we all know how talented Io is, but Rhea is she transcends the company, as does Bianca. I play Clash of Clans. There is a Rhea Ripley skin and a Bianca Belair skin. There is not an Io Sky skin. You know what I'm saying? So, but Io gets that win in that triple threat match, which was fantastic. I don't even know if we really talked about it. Arguably match of WrestleMania. Amazing stuff. Just it flowed so well. Everybody had chemistry with each other. Everybody was where they had to be. The drama was there. The near falls were just at the right level, and a fun finish. Tremendous match. Props to all those ladies. But maybe even more importantly, Io came out of it as the winner, as the champion, and felt like she belonged. Not that she didn't before, but she solidified it. And then she comes out on Raw and had a fucking good promo. Like, obviously the language barrier is there, but the crowd was with her. Everything she said, they were with. She was excited. You could tell her heart was in it. And then she went on and had that awesome match with Stephanie Vaquer. And it's just all like coming together for her. So I'm super stoked to see that. Another just massive weapon in that women's division. It's great to see. Io feels like a bigger deal than Asuka to me. I don't hate that assessment. Now she's getting much more crowd attention compared to her last reign. Absolutely. She was just kind of buried on SmackDown before. Buried like within Damage Control. Like there was like 6 or 7 different entities involved in the storyline, and she was just one of them. Now she feels like the center of the attention. So I think that was a win. I think the women... She natural babyface. I agree. I don't know if you meant Rhea because he said SHEA. Okay, yeah. With her moveset, the moonsaults and all that stuff, just the colors, the charisma. I think she's a good heel too, but I'm liking her run right now. Solo should have interfered in Mania Night 2 instead of Travis. Would have been better than Travis Scott. No argument from me. I want to see more of Stephanie. She's killing it. Tune in tonight. NXT. It's Tuesday as of recording this. I think she's defending her title against Roxanne. That should be pretty good. Bayley got done dirty though. You know what? We should talk about that, right? Now we're talking about the women. So the tag team title match for the women was going to be Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus Judgment Day, Liv and Raquel. Bayley got kayfabe taken out, not actually injured, but she got attacked backstage and had to have a replacement for Lyra's partner, which ended up being Becky Lynch. It was a work. From what I understand, it was a work. I think everybody kind of expected Becky Lynch. They had the tie-in. They're both Irish, but they also had like the direct involvement with each other in NXT like a year or so ago. So they have the on-screen kind of, they have that thread there. So it just all made sense. It was a fine match. I think it was less than 10 minutes. It was nothing crazy, but so Becky and Lyra win. They become tag team champions. And then they go on to lose the titles in a rematch the very next night. And then Becky Lynch turns on Lyra. What are your guys' thoughts on that? First of all, and more importantly, what are more importantly, at least for me, what are my thoughts? So my thought when Bayley was announced that she was going to be taken out, my thought is that, okay, it's probably Becky. Becky's probably going to replace her. And the story is probably going to be that Becky took out Bayley to insert herself in this match due to a vendetta against Bayley of some sort. She was going to slide in. She was going to be teaming with Lyra. They were going to get some title defenses under their belt. And then eventually Bayley would come back and that she would tell Lyra that Becky is the one that attacked Bayley. And then Lyra and Becky would have this like kind of turmoil within their relationship. And then we'd have this like triangle kind of feud going on, but with the Intercontinental title at the center of it. And if that was the case, it's like, okay, we're elevating Lyra. And we're also elevating this new women's Intercontinental title. So it is like in my head canon, it's like, oh, this is pretty good. I think people were like in my head, I was like, oh, people are overreacting about Bayley getting done dirty. People are over. Like it's all part of the plan. It's all part of the story. It'll end up net positive at the end. However, I was listening to because Bayley was on again. I'll shout out Chris Van Fleet. She did an interview with Chris. I think the interview was recorded like the Friday before WrestleMania or Thursday before WrestleMania. And Bayley, I think, already knew at that point that she was going to be taken out of the WrestleMania match. And she seemed legitimately depressed about it. I'd recommend it. You could probably find a clip of it on social media if you don't want to watch the whole thing. But which leads me to believe that maybe that's not the plan. Maybe it isn't like a long-term story. Maybe it was just they wanted Becky in there instead of Bayley, which I don't know, man. It seems very weird to me. It's like, because it was a thrown together last minute match in the first place. So why even involve Bayley at all? Why not just have like Lyra and a partner of her choice? Like, why not have Becky just come out even like on Raw the week or two before Mania and just have that be the match? Like, I don't know. It all feels very weird to me. Also, I'm a big Lyra Valkyria fan, and I think it's going to elevate her, whatever this is. Especially because, Becky loves her. Becky going for the IC title, if she has like on-screen kayfabe desires to be Intercontinental Champion, I think that does a lot for that title. Even if if Becky were to win it, maybe, and then Lyra wins it back or something like that, I think that would do great things for the title. And then maybe Bayley comes. I'm still holding hope that Bayley comes back and involves herself in this. I think even if that wasn't the plan, I think they will end up doing that just because of the backlash. But it's very interesting. Very interesting. Like, I don't know why. Why not just do the Becky heel turn at WrestleMania? Why bother even having them win? I don't know. Very curious. Very curious. Rumor has it Becky attacked Bayley. Yeah, I would assume so. Heel Charlotte and Becky win the tag belts. Then Bayley wins the IC title for Three Horsemen faction for real. It's funny. I had the same thought. Or I had a similar thought the other day. Like, what if Charlotte and Becky align to create the 2-woman power trip? The new version of Stone Cold and Triple H. Two very, like, because they both get hate for being like Charlotte Hogan, Becky Hogan. Like, they're both in that same like bucket for a lot of people. So I feel like translating that into an on-screen story could be fun. It would give them both something unique to do, which I think they both need. So I think it's wins all around, personally. It's because WrestleMania is about those feel-good wins. Yeah, I get it. I don't know. It's just all convoluted to me. They needed some feel-good wins to counter Cena's win. Yeah, maybe, perhaps. Triple H is terrible at his job. You guys need Vince back. Okay, pal. Tag team name would be the Hogan Ladies. I like it. Have Hogan be the manager. Night 2 was better. I agree. Is there anything? What else should we talk about? By the way, if you're just jumping in here, I will be dropping this as a podcast. Probably just right after we hit stop record. We stopped the live here. So if you want to listen to this entire episode, it'll be on my podcast feed, the Apron Bump podcast. It'll be on my YouTube as well. At Apron Bump on YouTube. So if you want to, we've talked a lot about WrestleMania and the Raw after WrestleMania. What else should we talk? Should we talk Rusev, by the way, came back. I don't know if we touched on that really. Oh, what do you think about the SmackDown tag titles missing WrestleMania? I think that's insane. We have this ice cold New Day War Raiders match that had zero build. It had like one segment on Raw dedicated to the build. And they both come out. You can hear a pin drop. It's insane. Match was fine, but nobody cared. Whereas the SmackDown tag division has been low key, like really good. Stories, the Street Profits, their character evolution, DIY's new heel characters, Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, the opportunity to give those guys a WrestleMania match was missed. You got Pretty Deadly in the mix, the Garzas. And now they're going to have a triple threat match on SmackDown. Exactly, Jose. The Garzas. Otis and Tozawa, I think they're Raw, but I like the passion. And am I wrong? Are they having a TLC match on SmackDown? Is that the thing? Or was that just like a rumor I saw online? SmackDown triple threat ladder, or is it a ladder match? I don't know. But even if it's not, right? Even if it's just a triple threat tag match, it is TLC. Okay, sweet. What the fuck aren't we having that? I guess they want to pull in people to watch SmackDown, but like, if it's a WrestleMania. It's the thing. It's the thing we're all building to. Cut out the Raw tag match. And you know what? Cut out fucking the AJ Styles Logan Paul match, which is a complete waste of time. I had high hopes for that match. That match, another ice cold match that nobody had any reason to care about. Cut out those matches, put in this TLC match. It would have given a whole new wrinkle, a whole new texture, a whole new peak to the show. It would have elevated the entire night. It would have elevated the SmackDown titles. It would have been a great showcase. I don't know, man. I don't know. Especially because, like, WrestleMania, it felt like you had, like, the street fight, but there weren't really any other stipulation matches. So that would have been a great thing to just throw in there to kind of change the pace a little bit. It would have been an all-around good, I don't know. WrestleMania builds to WrestleMania Backlash. You're not wrong there, Brundo. You're not wrong. But yeah, we still get the match on SmackDown, which is fun. But damn, man. Give those guys the spotlight they deserve. But yeah, I was talking about Rusev earlier. I don't know, man. Like, what do we think the ceiling is for Rusev in 2025? He beats up Alpha Academy in his return, which is a cool, it's a cool little moment there. Cool to see him back. I'm a big Rusev guy. Mid-card. Yeah, exactly, Jose. Like, I don't know, dude. He didn't really cut it in his first run. Like, Rusev Day was over, but then he built to the world title match with AJ, and then people didn't really care about it at that point. I just don't think it has a long shelf life, and I'm not optimistic on Rusev in 2025. Maybe if he wants to enter the IC title scene, sure, why not? And I feel like Rusev's still in the ring. He could still go. I just don't think he ever had that, like, appeal. Like, there's a lot of big bad dudes in WWE right now. You got Braun Breaker. You got Oba Femi. You got Bronson Reed. Jeff Cobb's on the way. Omos. I think if he's still there, right? A lot of bad dudes. Braun Strowman. Like, what does Rusev offer that all these guys don't offer? It's my thought. I'd love him to prove me wrong, but I wish Damian and Drew fight was a little longer. I agree. That Drew McIntyre Damian Priest match was excellent. Fantastic. There was intensity behind it. The storyline was like low-key pretty good. Like, it was a year in the making. Fun segments building up to it. I thought they delivered. I don't know if they stole the show necessarily, but it was one of the top matches of WrestleMania for sure. Did they bury Joe with Orton? No, dude, like, I get why people say that, but ultimately, like, Joe Hendry got a lot of offense. It was a 3-minute match, but most of the offense, I feel like, was Joe Hendry. So he didn't get squashed. I know that's not what you're saying, but, like, no. The fact that the TNA World Title was on WrestleMania at all is a win for the company of TNA. It was a culmination of Joe Hendry's odyssey that he's had throughout his career. And he had a match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and you can always say that. So no, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. What I think about the Karrion promo, sensational. Karrion Kross always delivers on the mic. He's maybe the best talker in the company right now. Maybe number one. But I talked about this earlier. I compare him to Jey Uso. When that bell rings, he shits the bed every time. He's just so soft, dude. His stupid elbow finisher is just like a quarter of the speed of Will Ospreay's hidden blade. His offense just isn't convincing. I even watched his Bloodsport match. It's like the guy he was fighting was trying to have like a chop battle with him, and he just was throwing limp sausages at him. I don't know, dude. I want to see Karrion like he's like Jey Uso. I'm rooting for him. Just needs to put a little sizzle on his offense. What do you think the storyline they're doing with Alberto turning babyface? Alberto? Del Rio? Is that a story? Or is there another Alberto that I'm forgetting? I want nothing to do with Alberto Del Rio. If that's Alberto. Isn't it just Berto? Humberto, not Alberto. Are they turning babyface? I like them. Like, you know, whatever character puts them in the spotlight, I support. Again, that tag division's so deep, man. It's so fun. Give them the spotlight. Segments with Andrade. Andrade is another guy. Like, where's he been? Give him something. What else? Phoenix, El Grande Americano. That's another match. I wish it had more time, but the time it got, I thought was great. Let me look at my notes here. Is there any like major things that I've skipped? Anybody in the chat want to remind me if I'm forgetting something? Oh, you know what match we need to shout out that far exceeded my expectations? Jade Cargill, Naomi. Awesome stuff. Naomi's finally found something that like clicks. I was never into the glow stuff. Like, it just never, I don't know, man. Even she won the title at WrestleMania, and it was like, all right, now what? Her promos have never been really good until this new character, which seems like something she's comfortable doing. Seems like something that comes off genuine and natural, and it translates well into her offense bell to bell. Naomi's always had it, like, in the ring. So I'm happy to see Naomi find the success that she's having right now. And then Jade Cargill, Travel with B, says she's improved. I agree. I've never been of the opinion that Jade was bad in the ring. Well, I wouldn't say never, but like the past couple of years, I feel like Jade Cargill hate has been super exaggerated. You know, she's a monster. She's Goldberg. She's Pitbull number 2. She's Ahmed Johnson. She's not here to do fancy chain wrestling. She's not Zack Sabre Jr. She's not going to do some smooth transitions and submissions and drop toe hold. Like she's a behemoth. She's here to do power moves and drop people on their head. That's her appeal, and she does it well. She's been doing it well. I think she's found her spot. The stuff with her and Naomi, I thought was great. Do I think a triple threat between Naomi, Jade, and Bianca would happen? I think Bianca finds her way back into this feud eventually. I don't think Bianca's innocent. I think Bianca had something to do with Jade getting attacked. I think maybe her and Naomi are in cahoots. That's just my thought. But another storyline I'm interested in. So they got me. It's good stuff. Yeah, I hope we get some sort of something with that trio of ladies. Hot take: the Usos are horrible on the mic and do not deserve a belt. I disagree that they're horrible on the mic. I think they're both really great talkers, really entertaining guys. I don't know. I talked about the Usos a lot earlier. Happy for Jay, but I hope that his reign is not long. Is the long and short of it. What else, gang? What else? We're just kind of lollygagging here. We're just yapping. What else? Is there anything that I haven't talked about? LA Knight, Jacob Fatu. I might have touched on this earlier, but that was another match I really enjoyed. Fatu getting the win. Jacob Fatu, new U.S. champion. I mean, just thumbs up all around. I am skeptical on where LA Knight goes from here. I hope he's involved in something substantial. I don't want him to just get lost in the shuffle, but happy to see Jacob Fatu. It was only a matter of time. He's a beast. Let's have him have a Gunther-esque reign with this U.S. title. That's my thought. I'm sure him and Solo will come to odds at some point, but LA Knight should go to Raw. I don't disagree. I do not disagree. Could use a shakeup for sure. So he can compete for the world title against Jay. That's kind of a fun idea. That's not a bad idea at all. Maybe like turn him heel or something. Go against Jay. I don't mind that. Penta should have won against Dom instead of Dom. I'm fine with Dom winning. Penta will get his shot. Penta, he didn't get pinned. Well, he actually did get pinned on Raw. Penta's fine. He'll get his moment. I really thought Roxanne attacked Bailey since the story seemed to be cut. That's also very possible. Maybe they'll go back to that. It seemed like they just paused it for some reason. I think Penta is being overused. I kind of see what you're saying, but I think he knocks it out of the park every time he's used. So I think he's being used a lot, but I think it's working. So I wouldn't say overused per se, but I kind of know what you're coming from. I don't disagree with you often, Kyle, but Jade wasn't good in that match. I disagree, Scott George. I disagree. I mean, I thought she was fine. I thought she was good. She's missing a few knee pads to be Ahmed Johnson. Yeah, that's what Jade needs. That's what's really going to lock her in. More knee pads. That's the secret. Stephanie Vaquer looked great on Raw. Maybe wish they'd keep her there full time. Only a matter of time there, Darius. Only a matter of time. But she'll be killing it on NXT in the meantime, which, good for them. I didn't believe a word that Rock said today on the Pat McAfee show. I agree. I talked about it earlier. It's a lot of just... I didn't want to take the spotlight away. Since when, Dwayne? Since when is that a concern of yours? Rusev versus Gunther. Yeah, I think at some point. I think we kind of covered it. Like I said, if you guys are just popping in late, this will be dropping as a podcast here later tonight. The Apron Bump podcast, link in the bio, wherever you're watching this. Also on YouTube. We talk a lot about WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania. And hey, if you like old school wrestling, I suggest you check me out. The Apron Bump podcast. I have different podcast hosts. I've had wrestlers on, different people from the industry, and we go through timelines in wrestling, whether it's mainstream stuff like WWE and WCW or lesser talked about stuff like Ring of Honor, the glory, like the early 2000s of Ring of Honor and TNA and all that stuff. So ever interview any indie wrestlers? I've had indie wrestlers come on and talk about shows, which have kind of been somewhat interviewee. I've had Monster Mac on from the early days of Ring of Honor. I've had RJ Singh. I've had Justin Credible, which fuck that guy, but I've had a few wrestlers on, yeah. Would love you guys to check it out. There's some clips on my TikTok if you're watching on TikTok. Hell yeah, Chris. Shoot me a DM. Let's figure it out. do I think Becky is going to Seth and Paul Heyman like join their faction? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier. I could definitely see that happening. I think adding a woman would make sense. And what else is Becky doing realistically? I guess feuding with Lyra, but ultimately I don't see it happening. I think her and Lyra is probably going to be a standalone thing, but maybe after, if it's still going. Aleister Black joins the new faction. I think Aleister is going to have his own thing going on SmackDown. Because I think he's coming back this week, right? They've already promoted that, so. I'm not going to lie. I think WrestleMania seemed to have very slow-paced matches. There were a couple of them, yeah. It felt very monotone. It felt like a very monotone show, if that makes sense. Maybe Roxanne and Becky versus Bayley and Lyra. I could see that happening. If the thought is that Roxanne is the one that attacked Bayley, I'd be surprised if we didn't get that. I feel like I feel like the women's tag titles should be involved. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. All right. Well, I think that about covers it, gang. WrestleMania, just tie a bow on it. Tie a bow on it. I thought WrestleMania 41 was a solid show. In terms of WrestleManias, I thought it was middle of the road. I thought there was a couple of really great matches, particularly the main event of night one and the women's world title triple threat. Some other pretty good matches like Jade and Naomi and Fatu and LA Knight. Everything else, the main event of night two was what it was. We talked a lot about that. Everything else felt like, and the Intercontinental 4-Way was really great too. But just this easily could have been a one-night show with the amount of good content. And Priest and Drew, good call. So I think there was enough good stuff to where you can't call it a bad show, but ultimately for WrestleMania, it felt pretty mid, is what I'll say about that. But I'm intrigued by a lot of the stuff that we got going forward in WWE. Got some returns. We got Rusev and Aleister Black. Potentially some NXT call-ups. We got Seth's new faction. We got Cena's title reign. Jay is champion. Like, there's some good stuff cooking. We got that TLC match on SmackDown this week. There's some good stuff cooking. So, well, as the kids say, let it play out. But I'll end it there. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate everybody who was in the chat tonight. Always cool to see the participation there. Like I said, if you haven't caught my podcast before, we'd love for you to check it out. Link is in the bio, the Apron Bump podcast. Give it a like, 5 stars, rating, all that shit. Like, finger in the bell, do all those things in that order. So, with that, I think that's how I'll end this. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Love you all. I'm hard.